All right, man. First episode. First episode. It's been a long time coming. So we've discussed making this podcast for a long time now, and I think it just came down to the timing and the execution of it. So I think we finally got some leeway to get going forward with this thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's exciting. Yeah, call on me whenever you want me to go, dude. Like, this is obviously a first run. We're extremely excited. Obviously, we've got a lot of people excited. We're gonna try and live up to some of the hype. But this is our first podcast, so give us a break if we do screw up a little bit. We'll see how the editing and everything goes. It might take a little longer than expected, but we'll try and have everything out, weekly to you guys. So
I think it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to the series. I think we have a lot of good things to talk about, and I think we have a couple cool perspectives. So it's like it's gonna be very interesting. And a lot of people are gonna learn some things that they didn't know about us. So
yeah, and don't mind the backs right now. We'll have stuff situated more. Mail with the COVID stuff happening right now. The mail is kind of slower than expected. So we're putting it together as good as we can for now. So with that being said, I mean we can kind of get started with everything. Go ahead, Kobe.
yeah, I mean, Justin, I guess I'll start off with the title, the meaning of our title. So uh, me and Justin we're talking about making this podcast, and we really didn't know what direction we wanted to go with it, but we knew we wanted to influence people in some sort of way. And it's like I was in a car one day, and I just thought I was like, it's black and white with Justin and Jacoby, and we can play off of our skin tone, and then talk about our perspectives of the world based on the America that we live in, especially with all the racial stuff going on. So I was driving, and then I told him about this, and he said, "Yeah, that's cool, that's cool." But then I was thinking, I was like, nothing is actually black and white. Everything fits into the gray zone. So I was like, it's not black and white with Justin and Jacoby. Justin, his name's first. He's older and everything, so easier to get him on board with that. So I think like the message itself, talking about like although we're I'm black, he's white, but it was never like that growing up. Like I don't know, we're like one and the same.
No, for sure. No, I agree with him. Obviously, we grew up in the same household until, later on in my life where, I'm older, so I moved out a little earlier. But no, like you said, we didn't really think about it as we were younger. So we just went with the flow. We never saw any difference in anybody, whether it was between us two or people that we met, people we went to school with. It was all the same, man. So with that, I'm actually thankful with how our childhood was, and although we moved around a lot, I'm thankful for everything we kind of went through to bring us there. So, do you have anything else on the title?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to add. I think that this is important because so many things going on in our life right now. Like obviously, you have like the Black Lives Matter movement. You have I don't know anything else like the Colin Kaepernick kneeling situation, and I just want to say like so many things can get pushed in a different direction because it's all about how you convey the message. So this is gonna be a gem for everybody. Like whenever I go to post on Facebook or anything else, like I'll sit there for hours and contemplate how I'm going to word things. Like how are people going to react to what I say, and am I getting the most interaction or the correct interaction that I want out of my post? So it's like the conveyance and the execution of the message is just as important as the message itself. And I think that a lot of stuff can get lost in translation if you don't think about that aspect.
No, for sure. No, that's a great way of putting it. Obviously, he's really good with his words. I enjoy listening to what he has to say, and I can see that others do as well. So he's very knowledgeable on this kind of situation, and it's great. It's great to have someone like this in your life. It's great to listen to someone like this. He's been through a lot of situations that a lot of us haven't faced or haven't witnessed, and people need to listen to that kind of stuff. It's crazy to think about, what he's gone through, what others with his color have gone through. And for someone to, not think about that even just a little bit, it's kind of wild. But I mean, when people don't experience those kind of situations or events, then I guess you can kind of understand it. But just listening is a big part of it. But yeah,
for sure. And I mean, we'll get into it, but this guy right here, I'll talk about. Go ahead.
No, yeah, we can check out the logo a little bit. For me, I mean, I love that it shows half of our face. We got I got a little bit of grief on it because the title is Justin and Jacoby, where Jacoby's the first one. He's on the right side or whatnot. But I was like, man, that's just the way it is. He wanted the right side of his face. I guess that's a better side, but. We plan to go real deep into our thoughts and feelings on subjects and situations that we both have experienced, and then we're also going to go into depth. Like I just said, on a lot of things. Whether we're going to agree on it or disagree on it, we fought as children, so we know how to disagree on things. We'll just sit here and throw fists real quick and kind of go that route. But really, for me, if you put both of us together, like. You're going to get someone who has experienced a lot in life. So to have both of our, one side, one half of each of our faces on the title, and to have it look like it is, I think it is a beautiful piece of art, and I think it's metaphorically and literally. So
I think it's actually incredible, like, because we always grew up like. I don't really recall a lot of our relationship growing up. Like, obviously we were close and everything, but I don't really remember going, I don't know, like, in like, discussing my hardships with you, like, growing up. It was just like, I don't know, it was weird because now I think about it, ever since I joined the military, like, we talk every single day, literally. I've never had a closer bond to somebody. Like, I've never talked to somebody so much in my entire life. Like, it'll be a call tomorrow, and somehow we'll talk for like 30 minutes about whatever. We talk every single day, so it's crazy. So it's like the logo means so much to me too, because like I feel like we're nearly one and the same person, and it's like you're my oldest brother, but he's easily my best friend, so it's pretty dope. And then outside of the logo, like, I want to talk about the intent of the podcast. Like, it was a lot of brainstorming going into this podcast. We didn't just start it yesterday and like let's go for it. It was like we've been thinking a lot about this, and in my intent. So if you look at my side of the logo, like I'm putting an eye open because my intent is to give the world my perspective. I think that's my calling in life, is to give the world my perspective and open people's eyes to a different experience. And I don't think that a lot of people can learn about a situation unless the experience is brought to them. So that's honestly my intent with this, and then let people know who we are and what we represent, to be honest.
No, yeah. I agree, and I'm here to help along that way as well. But as you can see my picture, I'm just smiling with a nice little mustache. So no, but really, I enjoy listening to people and their point of views, their opinions, and their discussion on certain topics and situations. And I'm open. I'm open for that kind of stuff. And as long as you're open to my point of view and what I have to offer as well, I'm all down for a conversation and just seeing and hearing the thoughts of one another and people out there. We've experienced a lot, but there's people who have experienced way worse and way more than us. So I'm all about learning, and I want my brain to be bigger. And so
it's actually crazy to talk about conversation. And like, ever since the killing of George Floyd, like, I've probably spoken to over 100 people that have either reached out to me or I see on Facebook, and I have to give them my take on the situation. Sure. So it gets really interesting, and there's a lot more people than I would ever imagine that are open to having the conversation, and that really opened my eyes over the last couple months for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and we're going to run into people who aren't open as well. So It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's the world we live in, and that's okay. Sometimes it's okay. Racism's not okay, but it's okay to differ in opinions and whatnot. So, I'm excited. I'm ready to take people along a ride that some of our friends and family don't know the stories or experiences we've gone through. So I'm pretty excited, man. So yeah, I mean, so you can start it off. You can introduce yourself, really, and I can kind of follow you as well.
For sure. So obviously, my name is Jacoby. Currently, I'm a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I'll get promoted to staff sergeant in September, and then when I graduate from the University of Kansas in May, I'll become a second lieutenant. I studied Black history at the University of Kansas, and it had ever since I started last year, it became my passion really quickly. Um, I do some work in the financial industry, and I got to where I'm at because I never succumbed to the pressures of the environment around me. So like I grew up, Justin kind of like we kind of have the same bring up, but he had his dad in his life a little bit more than me. So I grew up single mom, three brothers, and it was a really interesting time in my life, especially when we lived in Wathena, because it was uh, like as a child, you don't really understand everything that's going on. Like I got called like the N word and stuff. I've been breaking barriers my whole entire life. People would tell me like, I wish every black person was like you and stuff like that. There were people I couldn't talk to because their parents told them not to. There were girls I couldn't date because their parents told them not to. But it is what it is. I grew up through it, and I don't think it really affected me at that time period. So it is what I think the biggest thing in my childhood that I struggled to do was to plant my flag somewhere. Like I was constantly moving schools, like kindergarten, Wathena, moved to Kansas City first grade, back to Wathena later on in first grade. Then I was there to the fourth grade. Fifth grade, I went to Mark Twain in St. Joe. Sixth grade, I went to Eugene Field, then back to Mark Twain. Seventh grade, I went to Bodie. Eighth grade, Spring Garden. Ninth, this is ridiculous. Ninth grade, started at Benton, then went to Lafayette. Junior year, moved to Lee Summit North, then back to Lafayette. So it was like I never got to plant my flag, and I never got to really have a solid foundation of where I'm at. And then my junior year of high school, my best friend Mason passed away, and then from that point, it was like I have to change how I'm maneuvering through life. Like I know I have to succeed, because if he was here, he would do the same thing. So after high school, I went to college for a little bit, dropped out, and then I went to the military. So I went to the military. It's been the best time of my life for sure. I gained this unbreakable bond with Justin. 2016, I deployed. Got to see different cultures firsthand, like especially the Middle Eastern culture. It was eye opening, especially what we are accustomed to in the United States. It's not anywhere near the same of what you would think. Came back from deployment, got married. 2 years later, got divorced. Whatever. It is what it is. But then, I mean, that was a blessing too, because I got accepted into a program where they would pay me to go to college the same salary I was making in California, except I get to live near my family. So I got accepted at KU, and then now I get to see Justin a lot, and that's really the best part about it, to be honest. I mean, I get to see my mom, of course, too, and Javante was living with me. I see Jared every now and then, but I get to see Justin a lot and be around his family. So I don't know, like everything in my life has just been adversity and then perseverance. And I think that Justin and I both share that in common in a lot of different ways. But I mean, that's really my introduction of who I am. And then, this is my best friend, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of it for a second and actually go over something that really stuck out to me while you're going over your life story there. When he was young, he might have been called the N-word here, and he wasn't allowed to be friends with certain people. It's so wild, man. That to think about that now, it's just so wild. It's sad, but it's like we were almost accustomed to that back in the day. That would just happen, and we'd be like, oh man, that's terrible, and we kind of just shrug it off. Obviously things have changed. It's not like that now. It should have never been like that. Like that's the sad part about it is we kind of just went with it. Like oh yeah, that's gonna happen, man. I'm sorry. Like no, that's garbage, man. But no, he broke through everything, man. Like look at him now. There were times in life where I was like, man, I don't know if he's gonna do well here or what. But once he joined the Marine Corps, I mean, he really, really has been like on the biggest upward swing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like the dude is destined for like the greatest things in life. Like if you see this guy as the president one day, literally don't be surprised. So just be on the lookout for him. I'm super excited for him. He's accomplished so much already, and there's only more and more great things ahead for this young man. So no, for sure. But yeah, no. I don't want to talk too much about myself. I'm sure some people know me, some won't. But I live in Kansas City from a small town. Work in the healthcare and IT company now in Kansas City. Been working there for 7 years now, a little over 7 years. I'm married to my wife, Erin, beautiful wife, Erin. Have two amazing dogs, Coda and Remy, that will make sure to bark at you every time you come in the house. Coda's, every time. They love Jacoby now, but they still make sure that he knows that they are here. No, Erin and I met at Northwest Missouri State, which is where I graduated with my bachelor's in computer science. My school trip, with different schools is a little different than Jacoby. I would say not much different, but it actually still is. Like he went to a million schools. I only went to a few. I started out at Gene Field, went to Dobbs in the Hickman Mills District in Kansas City for a few years. Came to Wathena my fourth grade year. After fourth grade, jumped to a school called White Church, which I think he might have said, I can't remember. But jumped to White Church, which was the craziest situation because they had 2 grades combined, like every 2 grades, like you would first and second be combined, third and fourth, and all the way up. And actually at semester, we came back to Wathena, and that's where I ended up finishing my career. Jacoby obviously bounced around a little more after that. But like he said, Mom raised us 4 boys. Age difference was we were all pretty close in age. Javante was a little further off, but 2 years apart from me to Jared, then 2 years to Jacoby, and then 6 more for Javante. I mean, I still think we were all extremely close in age. And then I also have 2 sisters, which some know, some maybe not, but they're on my father's side, reside in the Kansas area. Bree, who is 6 years younger than me, I think. Bree's 6 years younger than me, and then Callie, who's also 10 years younger. So, I mean, we're all extremely close. Like, even Callie and Bree get along with everyone, like Jacoby and Javante, too. So, they're always excited to be around the family. Everyone's pretty excited, when we can get the family around. We're very fortunate to be as close as we are and to have family like we have. So, I couldn't be, it couldn't be more of a blessing. After I'm living with Mom for most of my life, I ended up moving in with my dad for like my later years of high school, maybe junior, senior year, possibly. It was just to be kind of closer to the school, closer with my friends over there. Still spent a ton of time with my brothers, obviously, but it was just easier on me and ended up working out just fine. So my brothers and I, sisters even, were all extremely competitive in sports. We obviously have a tight bond, but sports brings us even closer together. And like I mentioned earlier that we know how to argue and fight. Man, let me tell you guys, man, we went through some brawls as children. Like almost every day, Mom was getting a phone call at work. Jared might have been running away. I mean, we were fighting, bro. And because I was the older one, it was me against everyone, and everyone was getting that ass beat. So, like, no, but. After that, I went to Northwest, graduated there, met my wife, and now in Kansas City, living a fantastic life. Like I said, I couldn't be more, in a better spot, honestly. I'm extremely fortunate and wouldn't want it any other way. But that's really my life story. And
You know what's crazy? Like when you were moving in with your dad, your junior year, I remember the exact moment in which you knew you were moving because we were in a car, we were in mom's car, and there was you were having a conversation with mom or something. I was in the back seat. I remember hearing that you were moving, and I just started bawling. I just started crying. It was horrible, and I literally remember the moment. It's crazy, and man, I was like sixth, seventh grade, and but yeah, I'll never forget that. Like there were so many things in our childhood that. Like we were on food stamps, couldn't wait to the beginning of the month.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And no, I know mom really hated that, and as soon as she can get off, she did, and yeah, that was.
it's like another perspective, like it's another perspective that we have because when I'm on Facebook and I start seeing people bashing people that use government assistance, stuff like that, blah blah blah. I'm like, my mom worked like 2 or 3 jobs, bro, and had food stamps. Like, not all people are the same. Not all people take advantage of the system. Some people actually need help. So
Well, yeah. I mean, it's weird because you talk about that, and people bash it, but man, I know like plenty of people who I'm not saying food stamps, but plenty of people who didn't do what mom did, and have government assistance in their lives, and
yeah,
and they don't really mention it. Obviously, I mean, it's somewhat embarrassing. Like, why would you mention it? But I know people who have it. And I know of people who have probably had it, and like I'm just like, what? And they've bashed it before.
Yeah.
Like maybe as they grew up, they might have bashed it, but now as you're grown and you have to live that life,
it's experience.
Maybe something like didn't work out the way you wanted it to. So no, it's crazy, but yeah, man, it happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this also before we get into a couple more things, but growing up, becoming a person I became. I'm so thankful for Justin because if you think of the model person in America, he did it. Like top 3 high school class, top 5. You was the
I
second,
think it was
right?
2. I think it was
Yeah, you were second. Yeah, you were second.
Like we were a class of like 35 people, so it's
regardless,
not like it was that,
regardless, it was amazing to see his progression because he was top 2 in his class in high school, goes on to college, gets like a 3-point whatever high 3-point
3.41 all right
3.41 GPA whatever in computer science, which was an extremely hard major because I tried. Didn't last long, but and then he graduates and immediately gets a job at Cerner, and he's already dating Erin, and then Erin graduates from grad school. She gets a job as a counselor. So now they're both like living their occupation that they went to school for in a nice house, making nice money, and it's like that is like outside, like that's damn near the American dream. like so seeing that model grow up and do that, it makes everything so much easier for me. I mean, he carried the burden of the expectation because everybody expected everything from him. And he did it. Everything that they expected, he did it every time. I mean, you never got in trouble. You never did anything wrong.
No. I mean, I'm sure I did things wrong, but
not that I saw.
No, but you want to get in this conversation real quick? I mean, we can. Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, it's. No. This is going to be the main topic of the podcast. Like, I want to have at least a main topic every time. We might have multiple, just because we had an introduction today. So, obviously, it's centered around us growing up in the same household, but living somewhat in two different Americas. So, it's a big topic around the world. So, I mean. I'll let you go first. He's going to ask me questions. I'm going to answer him. I'm going to ask him questions. We're going to kind of go from there. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, and these are going to be like, I'm going to give him the question. It's going to be a genuine answer, straight from his heart, and straight from my heart as well. So we can get right into this. So, first question, Justin. So, growing up, did you ever feel like the black community was different than you? Like, in a sense of, I feel like my entire life, I broke through stereotypes, and it was hard because, like,
stereotypes that target black people, it's the first thing you see. It's the first prejudice that you have with somebody. So it's like, did you see like how I maneuvered through life and how I broke through those barriers? Did that help ease potential prejudice that you could have on the black community that could be embedded in your mind?
No, I mean, that's a really good question. Really, really well worded, too. For me, no, I don't think so. For others, I think that you would have been like that role model or would have helped ease the minds of others. For me, I just feel like, we experienced so much. We lived all over the place. I went to a very diverse school as a young kid, and I was, I felt right, like where I was supposed to be. We moved to Wathena my 4th grade year. I had a left earring in when we moved to Wathena, bro. Like my 4th grade picture, I have a left ear. We're at what is that, like 98, 99? I don't know, something like that. It was right around there. So 4th grade, however old you are. But I got a left earring in. You could imagine Wathena is a primarily white place.
I was the only. I was the only
Yeah,
black
so
kid in school.
I mean, left earring, I felt way out of place there too. Like that's just the way it was. But no, man. I mean, obviously there's stereotypes of every race, and that's extremely unfortunate. I mean, you're just gonna have it. But no, I don't think that you eased it. I know that you are extremely successful, and like I said, I think that you probably help this case for other people. And if I was in a different position, yeah, maybe if I went to Wathena my entire life, or if I went to an all-white school my entire life, then yeah. But in this case, no.
It's crazy. Like when you think of discrimination, you think a lot, like obviously white towards black, but I recall discrimination towards you in Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
When even we were dude, I remember one specific example was like these 2 black kids. They were like bullying you and Jared, and they bullied you guys into playing 2-on-2 basketball at a park. And obviously, I'm cheering you guys on. Jared cannot play basketball, but this is Justin's hooping days. I'll tell you that. But he was good. But obviously, Justin and Jared did not win. Justin's playing 1-on-2. So Justin's playing 1-on-2. But I remember like that hurt me. Like that emotionally scarred me. And like they were just some bullies, bro.
Some bullies. Just bully ball, baby.
Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. So another question. So we've been several places together where I was the only black person around either your friends, your family, etc. And have you ever felt like that people might consider me an outsider? Like, do you feel the shift in energy that I feel? And do you feel like you need to go the extra mile to fully explain who I am to make me feel welcome?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think at times, I think you probably were considered an outsider. I mean, that's unfortunate, but when you grow up in an all-white town, they don't see very much color in that town. So, I mean, they're going to think of you different at times. I still feel like maybe at times that happens. If we go, we have family in that town, so we'll go back to that side, the west side of the west side of St. Joe, I guess. I mean, you can call it, but it's right over in the Kansas area. But yeah, I mean, definitely still at time. We go to like a little party even with family, and you got people coming over that aren't family, but they're all from that town. I think that they probably look at you a little different, but for me, I had a bunch of friends that I think really grew, and I think that you probably helped that out. A bunch of, obviously I'm in a class full of white people, and maybe they, life would have been way different. It's so weird to think about, but without you even in it, I think you helped them understand, and they became more knowledgeable. In that area, they were kind of prejudiced or racist, as young kids, just because they weren't around that race, and maybe their parents and stuff, didn't help, certain people. But nowadays, I think that they all really learned. I know my closest friends, they are so far from even judging of any color. They text me and hit me up when they saw this podcast, and they're like, "Man, I tell everyone about you and Jacoby's story. Like, I'm so excited for you." Like, and that's exactly that's what I would want in a friend. So if I would have felt anything different, Like, get out of here. Like, I would not have taken that in my life. So, yeah, I mean, you're always going to be outcast. I'm going to be outcast. It just depends on where we're at.
Yeah, I think that's actually dope that your friends reach out. 'Cause I've always felt pretty welcome around all your friends. Like, I mean, Kobe Rhodey, Nicholas Haight, Bryce Payton, just to name a few. Like, I've always felt really comfortable around those people. Um, but I'm, there's a specific story I'm thinking about. It's not you, but I remember in California, I was in Northern California when Jared was out there, and he invited me to a party. He invited me to a party, and I went in there, and I mean, this has happened multiple times, but you just feel an energy when people are unfamiliar with you. I mean, that can happen to a lot of people going into a unfamiliar place, but no doubt, it was like, it was weird. It was a weird feeling. But Jared, when he introduced me to them, and then like he like snuck in, oh yeah, he's in the military. It was like, oh hey, how's it like? It was like a complete change. I'm like,
Yeah.
and it sucks because like having a prejudice is not your fault. To an extent, it is, but it's like having a prejudice is literally just ignorance. Like, ignorance carries a negative connotation, but it's not negative. Like,
There's things I'm ignorant to. For example, like, I don't want to get too much into things I'm ignorant about, but there's things I'm ignorant about, and when I realize that, I seek the information to change my ignorance, or I run into an experience that will hopefully change that. And yeah, I mean, that I think that's all a prejudice is ignorance, and until people read or experience, it's never going to change.
Yeah, for sure.
And then last question I have for you. This was a pretty cool question.
You should put that
because-
mic a little closer if you can, like just like the whole setup.
Like
I
that?
think mine's gonna be way louder, so we have to.
Oh, we
do
can
a lot
change
of
the
adjust-
levels.
Yeah, we'll
It's
do
all
some
good.
adjustments.
So especially in so you've always made it clear like that you are very supportive in basically just equality for all. And obviously, I really appreciate that, as you are my brother and best friend. I wouldn't expect anything else from my brother.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot going on in the world right now, and you're from a place that has a lot of opposing views, in which, I mean, I see on Facebook as well. I don't dabble in everything, but I see it. So the country's kind of split, literally like almost 50-50. Everything's being politicized. So it's like you having black brothers and you understanding the black community, like how important is it for you to solidify to people like what side you fall on in that sense?
No, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I've seen what you guys have gone through, and it's extremely important for me to, voice the kind of things that people of color, black people, or even any other color have to deal with. But we're obviously in a point right now where, black people are getting drilled hard for a lot of things that they shouldn't be, man. Like, it's crazy that they're treated differently. And like I said earlier, like, a lot of people haven't experienced this, so they think that racism doesn't exist. So they think that these things don't happen, and they think that people complain, and they want to say, well, why don't you just do this and you'll be fine? Well, no, I mean, that's not the way you should be treated, man. Like, that's crazy. If I went out and kind of like did the same thing that they were doing, or acted the same way that, say Jacoby got pulled over or something, I acted the same way that he did, it could be like, if he did something different or didn't want to comply like right away, I think it would surprise someone so much to see how much differently they were treated. So it's so unfortunate that people out there don't believe that we still live in a time of racism. It's unfortunate that we do live in that time, but I mean, I'm not sure that we will ever actually get rid of it. I don't think it'll ever actually be extinct, I guess. And it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. And we can only try to impose our knowledge on those who, aren't, knowledgeable, I guess, in the subject or whatnot. But some are going to listen, some aren't going to listen. We can only do what we can. I try to do what I can. I've got family all over the place that is just extremely idiotic to the situation. I think that some of my family has learned, though. I think that I have a lot of friends that have really learned in this time. And although we're going through rough times, I think it's times that have been needed almost, So we're in a tough place, man. And hopefully, as time goes on, more and more people will, listen and learn and be able to even, throw their wisdom and knowledge out there for years to come. We don't want to have kids coming into this country and I guess seeing, black and white people are different, but seeing like it being that much of a difference and judging people because of their color. Like, we don't want that. So hopefully, as time goes on, we're able to
I
come the other way.
I was deployed in in Oman, a country in the Middle East, Arab country, and my taxi driver, the first thing he said, it was the first day we were there. I get a taxi. I can't think of this guy's name. I wish I could. I had him on Facebook a long time ago, but I got a new Facebook. I couldn't find him. But I get in the car with my friend Brandon, and the first thing he says to me, he says, "So what's up with the black and white issue in America?" And this is 2016, and this is a country in the Middle East. So it's like the fact that his first thought is that, and so it's like, it was really interesting. I was like, man, I don't know. And he says, like, yeah, like I'm white and my brother's black, but there's no issue. I'm like, so that was an eye opener. That was crazy. But
yeah, that's actually wild. No, yeah. So if you want me to go ahead, I can kind of throw some questions on you real quick. Thought we'd each do around 3 each and kind of go from there. So my first question is, how do you think your childhood differed from mine? Like, as a child, do you think that you really noticed that there was a difference kind of growing up?
Growing up, I don't think so, really. And I think that stems from a lack of understanding. Because like I mentioned earlier, like I couldn't talk to some people, I couldn't date some people, I got called an N-word, like just out of I don't even know if it's out of hate. It might have just been out of like a tension or something. But I don't know, growing up, it never affected me to the extent of where it was just like killing me, or that it forced me to maneuver in a different way. I don't know. I was just like, I never played the victim role. I never was a victim my whole entire life, and never will I be to this day. And shout out Deontay Wilder to this day. No, but so if you go back and look at these different instances, the main effect I think that it had on me as I reflect back is the emotional trauma that it stemmed from it. Some good, some bad, because like those things that happened to me still can be good in my life, in the sense of I have to perform at a very high level so that I don't fall into what people first see as a black person. There's been so many stereotypes, like whether you want to believe it or not, the black person in this country has been villainized. They've been villainized for however long, because if you think of certain examples, like everything black is bad. Like you think of funerals, you think if you think of religion, darkness is ignorance and light is intelligence. If you think of, they were shooting at black targets at target ranges. Like all of these things subconsciously shape your mind. So it's like everything bad is black male. Like it's just bad. And so I have to perform at such a high level so that, okay, you may first see me as a black person, but the second you hear me or I influence you in any way, your entire perspective of me is going to change. Perspective of me is going to change. So it's like I don't think that growing up it was affecting me, but maybe subconsciously, because now when I think about it, it's like it forced me to perform. It forced me to perform. So yeah, I think that's what it is.
No, for sure, and I agree. You know, I mean, you definitely performed, and obviously you're not in a spot in life without putting in the work and time and no, I couldn't be more proud. So I mean, obviously some people go through different scenarios in life, have different things happen. They grow up in different. You know, they have different lives, so they grow up in different, you know, neighborhoods, childhoods are different. So maybe some people have it a lot harder. Actually, I know people have it harder than us.
No,
I'm not saying we didn't have a difficult childhood, but like we didn't have
Right.
a difficult enough childhood.
There's more difficulties.
Yeah, we wouldn't have looked at it any different. So our childhood any different than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to skip one of my questions because I wrote these down just to remember them, but I feel like he's already answered this one to the T. And it was asking if he ever felt out of place around my friends and family. Like we kind of already gone over that. I'm not even going to worry about that for now. But so I guess my final question, maybe I'll throw something else out there, but has there ever been a time in your life that you felt being black has kept you from like accomplishing something or maybe from getting a job or a promotion? And do you think that this still happens in America to other people? I mean, maybe if it hasn't happened to you, does it happen to others?
Yeah, so ever been a time in my life where I felt like being black has stopped me from accomplishing something? No, I don't think so. I don't think so in the extent, like I said, like I understand the struggles of the black community as a whole, but that doesn't mean that all of those struggles are mine as well. Like they're not all my struggles. Like I see it, I know that there's an issue, but that doesn't mean the issue always relates to me. So I mean, I've been unfairly discriminated against for sure. I want to think back to the third grade for a second. So I'm not going to say her name, but my teacher in the third grade, I'll just say Mrs. P, at Wathena, I know that she was not a fan of me because of my skin color. Like, because I was a very good kid growing up, like a very good kid, and this woman hated me. She literally hated me. Like, this is the year I was introduced to lotion, and now I'm a fanatic. Like I remember getting out of the shower, and then all of a sudden my hands start feeling extremely weird. So the only way I could change the way they feel, I started wearing gloves. I started wearing gloves to class, and it was within like a week, the whole class was wearing gloves. It was like I started this trend, and then suddenly Miss P did not like that, and she said nobody can wear gloves in the class. I just think of that story often. I don't like that woman, and she did not like me. But then my mom told me that I can just use lotion, so that got past that. But any extent of does this happen to other people? I know it does for sure. I know it does because in our country, the issue rooted through racism. However, the issue today is more rooted through social class. So that's why I think our experiences didn't differ that much growing up, because we obviously lived in the same social class. We made the same money in our households. So if you look at the social class divide between the white and black communities, if that goes from here to like here, because it's never going to be here, it's not going to do that, but if it's like closer, that will improve the state of the racist culture in our country, because wealth is the root to everything. Whether you like rich people or not. I don't. It
Yeah.
does. It does. And wealth. So I would say there's pillars to progression, and you see it in any country that's been colonized and the way that they progress. Wealth equates to education. Education equates to everything else. So when you see that the black community makes up like less than 15% of our country, but they make up like 60 to 70% of incarceration rates, it's not like a coincidence. Like the black community has had no money because we started hundreds of years behind, and it is what it is. It's another adversity that the black community has to overcome. But so when I see people like posting Candace Owens and Ben Carson, and they are failing to represent the actual experiences that black people have day to day, it actually bothers me, because the fact that there's no wealth, you see the difference in education when you look at statistics throughout the country, and then poor education leads to more violence, leads to drug use, it leads to gangs, etc., etc. And then all those things funnel up, and then you see this huge issue, and then you have this horrible image painted towards a black person. Like, I was talking to a cop, actually. This is interesting. I was talking to a cop in one of these conversations that I had over the past couple months, and he said that the overall culture of the police community is some people, like, people actually join the police force because they want to kill bad people. Like, that's what he told me. They want to kill bad people.
Yeah,
And the big issue is that black people have been painted as bad people. So you see this happening. And I mean, like, things are not going to change until accountability happens. Accountability needs to happen, and a lot more other things, but for another podcast.
No, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I agree. You've been lucky enough not to have to experience some of the bad things that others experience. I know that I've seen people who have interviewed others where they see a name on a sheet, and that name might get thrown to the back of the of the rest of the applications or whatnot. No, it's very unfortunate, and I know that it happens all the time. I think that maybe it's gotten better. Maybe, but I mean, if you look up even in the football league, they're trying to incentivize, which can be looked at two different ways. Like, you don't want to be like, oh, you should hire a person of color for you want the person best for the job,
Right.
But
how do you do that when they recycle the same?
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a sticky situation. Everyone should be knowledgeable in that situation. Should actually have some kind of knowledge that, or at least should be able to acknowledge that it does happen, whether you like it or not. Like, it happens, and it's unfortunate, but I like the word unfortunate too. But no, I mean, it's just the way it is, man, and hopefully things change as time goes on. Hopefully, right?
Yeah, I mean, it will regardless, because like Justin said earlier about presidential bid and stuff, like, whenever I'm of age, so we're looking at like 2040. If change hasn't happened, then if change has not happened in 20 years, then I promise it will. Then I promise you.
Yeah, no, Kobe 2040. Yeah. No, I mean, that's really I mean, that's most of what we got for you today. I mean,
that was
that's
good.
dope.
That was a good
I like
episode.
it. Hopefully it all comes out all right. We'll see. It's the first one, so I'm sure we've got some things to kink up and,
for sure.
And
I mean,
to change up. And,
it's the pilot,
Yeah,
It's
the pilot, man, yeah.
Pilot's never the greatest.
Yeah, we'll see if it, we get renewed for another week, honestly.
I mean, if you're looking at The Office, the pilot it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
The first season is pretty rough, but
yeah. No, man. I mean, you got any closing remarks or anything you want to kind of go over?
no, I mean, I think we set the conditions for what our podcast is going to be about, and I think that I think it's going to be very successful moving forward. I think,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So try to tune in every week. We want to drop an episode every Sunday. We are, I mean, obviously we're not going to stick on this topic every time. We want to bounce around to current events. We'll probably hit some sports up here and there.
Oh, for sure. Shout out Lakers, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We want to just be able to throw out our ideas and our knowledge in certain situations and that that we're knowledgeable in, I guess.
Right.
But we want to be able to speak our minds and our truths upon people. So.
And honestly, the interaction with the people, I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. I'm excited to see, even if you might throw out topics that we might introduce into our podcast. We're definitely gonna have guest appearances on here without a doubt. Quite a bit of them. We're gonna do some interviews, stuff like that. It'll be very good for sure.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to throw comments at us. Let us know maybe things that we could change up. Give us some ideas. I think we have plenty of ideas, but we always want more. I mean, we plan on doing this for as long as we can. So let us know. Keep us updated, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about it.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
Hope to see you next week.